Hi, it's Tentem the Navigator. I'm back again with the Anunnaki Final Warning to Earth and their return in 2022, the fifth edition by Maximilien de Lafayette. And we finally have got to part 2, which is the return of the Anunnaki. It's a question and answer session, and the questions are answered by Maximilien himself. So starting on page 147, that's where the first question starts. Outlook for mankind after the year 2022. What is the outlook for mankind after the year 2022? You have explained this in some detail in your books, but will we live in peace, or does humankind still pose a threat to one another if challenges and greed are proposed like they always have been? The answer. 2022 happenings are diverse and could easily be misinterpreted by the public. Nothing physically will occur on Earth's landscape nor in its atmosphere. A clash between a segment of non-terrestrials and humans is inevitable in the future. In the past, more than 3 incidents occurred in secret military bases and produced fatal consequences. The incidents were provoked by military men who, according to Gray's revelations, have insulted Gray's scientists who had worked on 2 joint programs with the military. The future clash will occur between the Anunnaki and the Greys, and humankind will be caught in the middle. The outlook of mankind will be seriously affected by the direct interference from the Anunnaki group called Bala Shamrut Ran. This is the very group that surrounded the solar system with the cosmic plasmic belt, intense radiation, high velocity ranges of rays, as recently revealed by NASA. NASA has discovered a ring of hydrogen particles around our solar system, a protective layer, which is now being called the heliosphere. This was announced by the Anunnaki ulema centuries ago, and they call this ring the cosmic plasmic belt. The heliosphere is generated by solar wind particles, which originate deep within the sun. NASA launched the Interstellar Boundary Explorer mission last year to get a better picture of the heliosphere. It was always suspected that it existed, but NASA scientists thought it existed in a completely different form. Instead of being a uniform stripe, there are bright spots, which indicate the bubble has varying intensity and density. Also, though NASA knows it protects the solar system from the radiation outside of it, scientists still aren't entirely sure why it is there or what it does, as noted by NASA. The human race will never be in peace with itself and with its own kind. This is dictated by the Naf Saya, the Araya, the DNA, and the biophysiological makeup of human nature, originally created by the Anunnaki on 2 occasions. The first time, some 450,000 years ago, and the second time, the final phase, some 10,000 years ago, which announced the final dawn of civilizations on Earth. Greed is as inevitable an indivisible segment and one of the characteristics of the fabric of the human psyche. Thus, greed will always be here and will increase the level of the contamination of mankind. However, the year 2022 will bring major changes to social systems, and these changes will have an enormous influence on the public's concept of religions. Christianity's dogma could be altered. Islam will not be affected by these changes. Buddhism and Hinduism will not be affected either, simply because Buddhism is founded on the concept of transmission of mind, and thus is not a religion per se. Ancient Hinduism and Hindu manuscripts and inscriptions have already announced and pre-announced the existence of celestial spacecrafts known as Vimanas, created by the gods, a super race from the multiple layers of the universe. Consequently, both will blend perfectly with the comprehension and definition of a new social order to be established by the Anunnaki. In short, 2022 will bring paramount changes to A, religions, B, social order. Okay, so this question is about another extraterrestrial threat other than the Greys aliens. After the Anunnaki's job is finished here on Earth through decontamination, will we ever have to deal with another extraterrestrial threat other than the Greys aliens? Answer: the only threat humanity will face is the product of the Greys' agenda. It is important to understand that the Greys have lived on Earth for millions of years, long before the human races were created by the Igigi, Anunnaki, and Lyrans. We call the Greys extraterrestrials. This is not entirely correct, as the Greys are the interterrestrials of the Earth, and the humans their cohabitants. We fear the Greys, and ironically, the Greys also fear us. They feel threatened by our nuclear arsenal and experiments because these can annihilate Earth, where the Greys live. Earth is also the habitat of the Greys. Earth is where their communities and families live. Greys will do anything and everything to prevent humans from destroying Earth. Earth will be only destroyed by acts of nuclear war. The Greys have adapted very well to the intra-landscape of Earth, meaning inner Earth. And water on Earth is essential for their survival and for their energizing of their spacecrafts. Unfortunately, constant interactions with the Greys will deteriorate the genes of the human race. The first phase of such deterioration is contamination. The Anunnaki are full aware of this contamination. Simply put, in order to eliminate the contamination of human and human DNA, the Anunnaki must get rid of the Greys. And the decontamination process will result in major confrontation with the Greys. Some influential governments have already received a sort of briefing on the subject. Some high officials took to the threat very seriously, while many did not. Their ignorance and arrogance will have lethal consequences which humanity will suffer from. No, there are no additional threats from other extraterrestrial races, simply because they are not interested in us. They are not interested because we have nothing meaningful or important to offer them. Humans live on a linear scale. This is how and why we understand the universe in terms of time and distance space. And this limits us and prevents us from becoming members of the Cosmic Federation. Only two races in the known universe can live on Earth, the Anunnaki and the Greys. In the past, 3 extraterrestrial races lived here on the Earth for some time among us. They were A, the Anunnaki, B, the Lyrans, C, the Greys. Their organisms and body structure could sustain our atmosphere and its conditions. Other extraterrestrials would not be able to live on Earth, as humans are not able to live on other known stars and planets because of their atmospheric conditions. Other alien races will self-destruct if they try to live on Earth. Consequently, they have no interest whatsoever in invading or dominating Earth. In other words, the only real threat will come from the Greys. But for the time being, we are safe because the Greys still need us. Despite their highly advanced technology and science, the Greys did not yet find the perfect and final formula for saving themselves genetically. For some incomprehensible and possibly silly reasons, the survival of the Greys depends on 2 things. A, the survival of humans. B, the safety of planet Earth. And this concludes 2 questions, pages 147 to 150. Sorry, I lost my place. 51.